Traditional mathematical papers are linear. They can state a theorem, show a proof, and explain what information a mathematical representation preserves or loses. But what if the reader could actually change the representation and test the consequences? That is what Unified Informational Mathematics, or UIM Theorem Frontier, is designed to do. The mathematical question is simple. If I replace a mathematical object with a representation of that object, did I preserve enough information to determine the property I care about? The central UIM criterion shown here says that a property can be determined from a representation exactly when that property is constant across every fiber of the representation. In plain language, a fiber is just a group of different objects that the representation treats as identical. So, if two objects look identical to the representation, but the property gives them different answers, the representation has lost information that matters. Let's test a concrete example using finite graphs. I want to know whether the degree sequence of a graph contains enough information to tell me whether that graph is connected. The degree sequence simply records how many connections each vertex has. I am not providing the counterexample. The instrument is going to search for one. The browser is now searching exhaustively for the smallest obstruction, and it finds one at 5 vertices. These two graphs have exactly the same degree sequence, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. But one graph is connected, and the other is disconnected. So the representation gives the same information for both graphs, while the property gives two different answers. That single exact collision is enough. Connectedness cannot be determined from degree sequence alone for any graph class containing these two examples. This is where the system does something important. It does not simply say pass or fail. It identifies the strongest mathematical statement the evidence actually justifies. Here, the result is TF1, an exact obstruction. And notice the generalization boundary. One exact counterexample can disprove the broader claim. But the reverse is not true. Searching millions of examples without finding a counterexample would still not automatically prove an unrestricted theorem. Now I will change only the representation. Instead of compressing each graph down to its degree sequence, I retain its exact labeled adjacency information. The mathematical question has changed because the information available to the representation has changed. Now, different graphs no longer collapse onto the same exact representation. The representation is injective. It uniquely determines the graph. Together with the UIM criterion and the registered graph theorem, the frontier changes to TF3, a general result for the declared mathematical domain. The interface did not change its opinion. We changed the mathematics. There is also a stronger question. Determining one property is not the same thing as recovering the original mathematical object. So UIM keeps those claims separate. Here, the graph is encoded using its complete adjacency representation. The instrument then reconstructs the graph from that representation. Source object, encoding, recovery, recovered object. This demonstrates exact recovery for the declared finite labeled graph domain. It does not claim that every compressed representation is reversible, and it does not turn the browser into a universal proof assistant. Every completed experiment also receives a deterministic state identifier and a versioned state link. That means another reader can reproduce the same mathematical experiment, the same domain, representation, property, scope, and scientific registries, rather than merely looking at a screenshot of my result. The point of UIM Theorem Frontier is not to decorate a mathematical paper with interactive graphics. It changes what the reader can do. A linear paper can state which information a representation must preserve. Here, the reader can change the representation, compute its fibers, generate exact counterexamples when information is lost, test recovery when information is preserved, and see the strongest theorem that remains justified. Instead of only reading the argument, the reader can interrogate it. That is my proposal for a paper of the future.